So my name is Ruth Wilson from Architectus, and with me today is Peter Malash from 6 Degrees, our collaborators on this project, and my colleague Jay Peacock, who was the project architect. We begin with an acknowledgement of country, acknowledging all the countries we meet on today and the lands of the Dja Dja Wurrung, where this project is located. We pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. In 2018, Bendigo Kangan Institute was successful in obtaining funding of $60 million to undertake a much needed campus revitalisation. The campus is situated on the edge of Bendigo CBD. It's the site of the original School of Mines developed during the Gold Rush. 5 highly significant heritage buildings remain on site, all designed by W.E. Varland, a German immigrant of the late 1800s. Building E's extension and the former Junior Technical School, which is H, date from the 1920s and are also listed by Heritage Victoria. This project relates to buildings E and H, and we were provided advice by Helen Lardner, who had authored the conservation management plan for the site. A master plan which divested the western portion of the campus had underpinned the business case. This blue zone is now the site of the new Bendigo Law Courts, which is nearing completion. The community zone in green encompasses the historic former Mechanics Institute and Free Library and is yet to be redeveloped. The education zone in red is the subject of this presentation. So a master plan had suggested a single large 4-level building enveloping the former tech school and connecting to E, with a large open green space facing the busy Chapel Street. As expensive constraints became known, and also as we had a chance to observe students' behaviour on campus, we started to look for alternate arrangements. And we headed to a much finer grain approach, using smaller building footprints separated from the heritage buildings by new laneways. So you can see here 2 new buildings, G and J. Simon Bliss Landscape Architects conceived the landscape approach. The Dja Dja Wurrung are the original inhabitants of the region and refer to the area as upside down country, reflecting the dramatic alteration of the landscape by mining. But the natural environment is powerful and lasting, and if left to its own devices, over time it will reclaim even the most altered landscape. The landscape strategy accelerates this reclamation. The jewel in the landscape is the 6 seasons calendar built by the Dja Dja Wurrung in collaboration with the design team. It talks of country, it is a place to educate visitors, and it's a focal point for the TAFE Indigenous Studies cohort. We're going to take you through the 2 new buildings now, and I'm going to hand over to Jay.
Thank you, Ruth. Building G takes its cues from its neighbours, a recessive building that allows for the existing rich heritage buildings to hold their visual dominance. Whilst providing a contemporary new front door to the campus, the facade's fins emulate the tones and scale of the adjacent brickwork. The building appears more solid when viewed obliquely along the street and opens up upon approach. The large showcase windows show the public the training that is happening on the inside. This strategy addresses both heritage and briefing objectives. This is the view from inside the campus, looking out towards building E past G. The street wall is articulated to complement the heritage buildings to each of its sides. Next is building J. On Chapel Street, housing foundation studies. The building composition and materials echo the adjoining building H. The scale of the 2nd level facade articulation is aligned with this building, with building H, whilst level 3 seeks to be more recessive. WA is the welcome to the campus in this direction through the new pedestrian alleyway. And this is the view from the inside of the campus. Now we are going to go through the heritage buildings now, and I'll hand over to Pete.
Unmute. Thanks, Jaden. Starting with Building H, the former technical school, which was finished in 1927. The building had good bones in terms of volume and natural light, but did not provide equal access and was in very poor repair. Now housing staff spaces and including the directorate of Bendigo TAFE. The more substantial work was in Building E, the former School of Mines, the original section 1884 by Varland, and apologies, there was a typo on the aerial. It's a 1920s extension, now housing hospitality in the Industry Innovation Centre. The works were largely adaptive reuse with some minor additions to the rear of the buildings. It was once pretty unloved and underutilised, but now it is a hub of activity with a cafe to Hargrave Street and a bakery selling the hospitality students' produce. Training kitchens have been inserted into the heritage fabric, and the ground floor is a reconfigurable space for industry events, seminars, and exhibitions. This is a view down into the double height void at the back of this building, and a view of the extension from the outside. An annex at the rear of Building E houses the vertical transport and the new substation for the entire precinct. And this is a close view looking towards the central courtyard. The planting is quite small still, but it is grown from indigenous seed stock, so it should flourish with time. So in conclusion, woven into the historic fabric of Bendigo, the new city campus celebrates TAFE's industrial heritage and champions its ongoing contribution to regional prosperity. The design collaboration of new builds by Architectus, adaptive reuse by 6 Degrees, and landscape by Simon Bliss revitalises one of Bendigo's and Australia's arguably key heritage places. Thanks very much.